So we are on episode 7 of Cowboy Bebop. This one's called Heavy Metal Queen. Or should I say, Session 7. They don't say episode, they say session. And just as the name implies, we will be hearing some heavy metal music in this session. Very inspired by the 80s. It's not going to be death metal. It's not going to be super early Black Sabbath metal. We're getting screeching guitars and Judas Priest type vocals. While most of the music themed episodes are easy to figure out, Bohemian Rhapsody, obviously Queen, we just did Sympathy for the Devil, Rolling Stones. Heavy Metal Queen is by the band Trance. And some of the lyrics of the music they use in this session are questionable. This is the lyrics to the song I just played. Ever eaten crabtree? Missing in the wanting. Any else comtees? Question mark. Missing in the wanting. Shaka Khan canine. Tell us cold eel. I don't know if this is a translation error or what. So, the episode is about Heavy Metal Queen herself, who's a space trucker. She has a mysterious name, but she goes by VT, and she plays a game where people will pay her money to try to guess her real name. Well, we'll see if Spike can figure it out at the end. I think he can. Spike and Faye Valentine. We don't see much of Jet at this point. We'll see him on the later episodes, but it really does seem like Faye Valentine and Spike are the one trying to catch the bounties. Are looking for a guy named Decker who has a dragon tattoo. And Faye actually does catch up to him after a case of mistaken identity at a Chuck E. Cheese inspired restaurant called Woody's. The children music driving her crazy as she tries to eat her sundae. And the rest of the episode takes place in space. This features by far the most amount of space battles we've seen in an episode. And the character Heavy Metal Queen herself is okay. She's supposed to be a tough, kind of butch, older woman in her 50s who's just been space trucking and can still hang with the boys. But there is a really nice scene where Heavy Metal Queen is looking for this bounty. She's now helping out Spike and Faye to find him, and she calls to these other truckers. It only lasts for a minute or so, but the amount of detail that they put into these trucks is so great. You can tell their personalities just by the way that they design them. Of course, a lot of the trucks have a bunch of pictures of girls, because why wouldn't they? But one of them has a guy who's surrounded by a bunch of greenery, because he's more of an earthy guy. And to put this much detail into something that they're only going to show for a few seconds for each one of these truckers is really amazing and great. I'll admire your beauty, Cowboy Bebop. And a lot of this really would have been missed if you saw this on TV in the early 2000s or had a dirty VHS copy. So instead of being upraised to HD, which is where I'm watching it from, off Hulu, you get to see all the intricacies and read the background. And be able to read the text in the background, which you wouldn't be able to get off a VHS copy. The bounty they're chasing, Decker, is a very nervous and dorky guy. But he does have one move. He has these capsules that are some type of a plastic explosive. So while he can keep it in a small vial, when he throws it at people, it can make an entire ship explode. He keeps releasing them out into outer space to slow down the Heavy Metal Queen and the Bebop crew themselves. They end up killing Decker instead of actually capturing him, which means no bounty. It seems like some of the bounties can be alive or dead, because I have seen in some episodes where they do accept dead bounties. Of course, they're out in the middle of space now, and there's a collapsing asteroid, so it might be hard to get his body anyways, but they mention that they're not going to be able to collect the bounty because Decker's dead. But they have to escape this mining asteroid that they find themselves wedged in by following Decker and his stupidity. And we get another cool scene of Spike Spiegel being smooth. He's going to abandon his ship and hold his breath and just float up to the Heavy Metal Queen ship, no problem. But when he gets blown off course, he just uses his gun to guide him. So he shoots in one direction, and that's the way he propels himself back into the ship. Would that work? Of course not, but it actually is kind of a cool scene. Using his gun as his own air propeller. Damn, he's so smooth. Of course they escape, and Spike does figure out VT, the Heavy Metal Queen's real name, and it's Victoria Terpsichore, after finding this pendant and realizing she was married to a famous bounty hunter, Urel Terpsichore, which is maybe one of the reasons that earlier in the episode she wasn't a fan of bounty hunters. Maybe they didn't have a bad relationship. She mentions that her husband died, so maybe she just doesn't want to hear about bounty hunters at all. It's one of those cases of, I hate bounty hunters, they suck. Oh, actually, you saved the day. Now I love bounty hunters. So this is a decent episode. I'm going to give it a high 6. It has a ton of action, and when I first saw it, I actually liked it less. Rewatching it again, it's a well done episode with lots of action scenes, and the way that he escapes this exploding ship is quite riveting. It's just the character itself. Heavy Metal Queen just doesn't really get to me. She's too grumpy. She's too annoyed. She's too hard to look at. But everything else about this episode is quite good. This is also a one-off episode. This has no bearing on the overarching story. And also the heavy metal music that they play in some parts of the episode, they play the jazz in the space parts, is a good break as well to get a different type of music rather than just the jazz, which I think is really good in this series, especially the opening. But I mentioned before that having a variety of music, maybe more rock music, more funk, which they do, episodes like Mushroom Samba and heavy metal music, is really nice to break it up from the constant amount of jazz. As good as it is, as original as it is, you want something else at times, and this one fills the void. So good job, Heavy Metal Queen. You're above average. Remember that. Next up is Session number 8, Waltz for Venus. And we're getting very close to being introduced to that new character that's going to join the Bebop crew, Edward. And my unpopular opinion on him, her, I think. But this next episode is really good. Waltz for Venus is good. And check out our playlist for all the other series that we've covered, like Black Mirror, Monster, Fear Itself, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Pet Shop of Horrors, Tales from the Dark Side, and of course Cowboy Bebop. We're covering all 26. Thanks.